Let us be honest with one another for a moment. You are here because you are seeking a key. You are looking for that one massive, powerful secret that the rich and the successful have locked away, the one magic lever that will change your life overnight. You spend your evenings consuming content, hoping that today is the day you finally stumble upon the six-figure skill, the 7-step blueprint, the revolutionary strategy that will make all your struggles disappear. And I admire your hunger. But let me offer you a truth, a deeply paradoxical truth that most people miss entirely. The major success you dream of is not built on a few massive, dramatic actions. It is built on a quiet foundation of things so simple, so easy to do, that they are equally easy not to do. That is the great divider. I have seen countless people with enormous talent, people smarter, better educated, and more connected than I ever was, people who possessed every major advantage only to watch their lives slowly drift into stagnation and regret. And the cause was never a major error. It was the slow, steady erosion caused by minor neglects. The question I have for you right now, as you sit there contemplating your future, is this. What small, vital, easy to do but equally easy not to do thing did you skip today? And what will the final staggering cost of that neglect be in 5 years? You asked me what the six-figure skill is, what the great secret is. I told you it is the minor disciplines. Now let us deepen this idea. We need to understand the fundamental difference in philosophy between the person who gets ahead and the person who stays behind. This difference is not about IQ. It is not about whether you went to the right school. It is certainly not about luck. It is about a tiny, subtle shift in perspective. The way you choose to look at the ordinary demands of your life. The majority, they are waiting for the major moment. They are waiting for the big break, the massive investment, the promotion that solves everything, the sudden and dramatic decision that will change the trajectory of their world instantly. They operate on a philosophy of delayed sudden impact. They believe success is an event, a lottery win, a one-time heroic act. And because they are waiting for the major event, they completely neglect the minor ones. They ignore the simple, easy-to-do steps that, when repeated, become the very engine of achievement. They skip the reading, figuring one book will not make a difference. They skip the gym, figuring one workout does not matter. They skip the phone call, figuring one lost connection will not hurt. They are focused on the harvest, but they refuse to plant the seed. The successful person operates under a completely different code. They understand that success is not an event. It is a process. It is not a windfall. It is a compound effect. They have mastered the art of the minor discipline. And let me tell you, this is the true six-figure skill, because it is the skill that sustains all other skills. It is the ability to do the necessary, the required, the important thing, even when you do not feel like doing it, even when no one is watching, and even when the results are invisible in the short term. Think of yourself not as a worker bee, but as the chief architect of your own life. When an architect designs a magnificent skyscraper, he does not start with the penthouse view or the decorative spire. He starts with the foundation, the pilings driven deep into the earth. The architect understands that the strength of the final soaring structure is determined by the discipline in laying the first few rows of bricks perfectly. These first bricks, the daily study, the consistent saving, the truthful conversation, the early morning routine, these are your minor disciplines. They are quiet, they are often tedious, and they demand repetition. Now contrast this with the neglects, what I call the major errors that stem from the minor disciplines. A major error is not robbing a bank. A major error is waking up 10 minutes late every day for 10 years. It is watching 4 hours of television instead of reading for 1. It is consistently spending $10 more than you earn, month after month. None of these actions in isolation seems dangerous. You can get away with it today. You can get away with it tomorrow. The bank account balance looks fine. Your waistline has not changed much. But the successful person sees the trajectory, while the majority sees only the moment. The major error is merely the cumulative price of a series of minor neglects. You do not wake up one day broke. You wake up broke because you consistently failed to save $50 a week for 5 years. You do not wake up out of shape. You wake up out of shape because you consistently chose the easy meal over the sensible one, the couch over the walk. The difference is the gap between the easy and the necessary. The necessary action is usually easy to do, but because it is easy, it becomes easy not to do. That is the fatal flaw in the majority's philosophy. They underestimate the power of these daily actions because the penalty is not immediate. I learned this from my mentor, Mr. Earl Schoff, when I was a young man in Idaho, before I knew anything about success or wealth. He had this extraordinary ability to simplify life into a handful of core principles, and the most important one was this: do not let your life run by accident. Most people let circumstances design their life. They are like a ship without a rudder, blown by the whims of the economy, their boss's mood, or the latest news cycle. They are reactors, not designers. The successful person is the designer. They wake up and say, I am going to build my day, and my day will build my life. They understand that what is necessary to sustain the structure must be done daily. This is not complicated. It is not complex geometry. It is simple math. Every day you are either taking a step towards your destiny or you are taking a step towards regret. And in most cases, these steps are so small they are barely perceptible. This philosophy is demanding, I grant you. It asks you to look past the instant gratification of the moment and commit to the distant prize, the reward that only consistency can deliver. It asks you to find motivation, not in the cheering of the crowd, but in the quiet promise you made to yourself in the mirror. You must be willing to endure the monotony of the process. You must be willing to be bored, as the important work is often repetitive. Look at the difference between the gardener and the person who wishes for a garden. The wisher talks about the beautiful flowers, the fresh vegetables, the lovely scent. The gardener understands that all of that beauty is merely the public result of 1,000 private, boring acts. The daily weeding, the consistent watering, the careful pruning, even when the back aches and the sun is too hot. The public result is always a direct reflection of the private discipline, always. The six-figure skill is not a trick. It is not an obscure piece of code. It is the mastery of the few fundamentals that matter, repeated without fail. This is your personal economy, your personal health, your personal education, all operating on a compound interest curve. Neglect them and you compound loss. Discipline them and you compound gain. It is a slow, quiet, but absolutely powerful force. So I ask you now, are you currently living as the architect of your life, meticulously laying the foundations? Or are you a hopeful spectator waiting for some massive external wind to blow you toward success? I need to share with you how this philosophy, this distinction between the minor discipline and the major neglect, how it actually became real for me. Because when I was 25 years old, none of this was clear. I was living on the accident plan, not the design plan. I had a wonderful wife, a family beginning to grow, and a job as a stock clerk at Sears in a small town in Idaho. I had potential, everyone said so, but my bank account had a different story. In fact, it had virtually no story at all, just a handful of pennies. I was broke. And the worst part, I was skilled at being broke. I had mastered the art of the excuse. I could blame the economy or the way the company was structured, or the fact that I didn't get the right breaks. I had an entire library of reasons why things were not my fault. My paycheck came in and my money went out, and the gap between what I was making and what I needed felt like a gulf I could never cross. And in that time of despair, I was lucky enough to meet the man who would truly become my mentor, Mr. Earl Schoff. He was an extraordinary businessman, a successful entrepreneur in the shaker days of the nutritional supplement business. And he possessed a simple, powerful clarity about life that I had never encountered. I remember one particular conversation clearly. I was visiting him, looking for a secret, a breakthrough, a shortcut out of my mess. I probably spent 10 minutes laying out my problems, the bills, the rising cost of living, the lack of opportunity. I was presenting my carefully constructed list of external reasons why Jim Rohn was failing. When I finished, Mr. Schoff did not offer me a job. He did not lend me money. He simply looked at me with his calm, knowing gaze, and he asked a question that felt like a punch to the stomach. He asked, Jim, how much money have you saved in the last 6 years? Now you have to understand the level of my shame in that moment. I was 25, a grown man, a husband, a father, and I had been working since I was a teenager on my family's farm, but my answer was the embarrassing truth. Nothing, Mr. Schoff. I haven't saved a dime. He did not scold me. He did not lecture me. He just asked the follow-up question, the one that broke my carefully built wall of excuses. He asked, and who is in charge of that? That question was the moment of my conversion. I wanted so desperately to say, the economy is in charge of that, or my poor salary is in charge of that, but I couldn't. I had to look myself in the eye in that moment of profound, quiet embarrassment and admit the truth. I was in charge of that. The saving of $10, the saving of $5, that was an easy discipline I had consistently chosen not to practice. It was a minor discipline I had completely neglected, and that minor neglect, repeated over 6 years, had become the major error of being completely, fundamentally broke. The next realization was the power of the concept. It wasn't just money, it was everything. I looked at the 3 books on my shelf I had started and never finished. Minor neglect. I looked at my fitness level. Not terrible, but certainly not excellent. The result of skipping the 10-minute walk every day. Minor neglect. I realized that my life was not an accident of circumstances. It was the direct cumulative result of these hundreds of tiny, easy-to-do, but easy-not-to-do decisions. Mr. Schaaf did not give me $1 million. He gave me a philosophy. He taught me to look at my life not in terms of massive, overwhelming change, but in terms of the tiny adjustments I could make right now. He taught me that I had to design my life with the same meticulous care an architect uses for a skyscraper, starting with the unglamorous subterranean foundation. What is the minor discipline of today? For me, back then, it was simply reading a page from a good book. It was saving $1. It was saying thank you with sincerity. They were so small they felt almost inconsequential. But when I held that feeling of shame from the conversation with Mr. Schaaf, that quiet internal burning, it gave me the fuel to commit to these small disciplines. I realized that the lack of discipline leads to a life defined by regret, and regret is a terrible house guest that stays forever. This is the kind of self-audit I want you to perform. I want you to look not at the spectacular failures, but at the steady stream of small, quiet neglects. What you refuse to do today is what will define your limitations tomorrow. The 6-figure skill is learning to respect the power of the smallest possible movement repeated. Now, I understand that hearing these stories, hearing these truths, can sometimes feel overwhelming. It can stir up a lot of things inside of you. Maybe a little shame, maybe a lot of determination. We are going to continue this conversation, and we are going to get into the nuts and bolts of how to apply this philosophy. But before we move on, I want you to be ready to process this deeply. The answers to your problems are rarely loud. They are usually found in the quiet moments. So as we continue to move through this talk, I will leave a few moments of quiet at the end of this video, a dedicated time for reflection, because you need to separate the noise of the world from the wisdom of your own soul. You need to hear what your own mind is telling you about the small things you are neglecting right now. The man I was at 25 was the sum of his minor neglects. The man I became was the sum of his minor disciplines. If you are struggling today, you have to find your own point of conversion, your own moment of honest shame, and use it as fuel. So I ask you, which minor, easy-to-do discipline, if you committed to it right now, would eliminate the biggest source of quiet, private shame in your life 5 years from now? When Mr. Schaaf first showed me my own neglect, it was a profound moment of personal accountability, but that accountability is meaningless unless you anchor it in the great, unchangeable laws of life. See, most people treat life as if it is an unpredictable lottery, but I am here to tell you that life is not a mystery. It is a system. It operates on immutable, elegant principles. If you ignore them, you suffer. If you align with them, you thrive. And the most critical of these laws, the one that governs whether your minor disciplines will pay off or whether your minor neglects will destroy you, is the law of sowing and reaping. This law is simple, yet devastatingly powerful. You cannot plant an apple seed and expect to harvest bananas. You cannot plant nothing and expect to harvest a fortune. The harvest you receive is directly and proportionally related to the quality and quantity of the seeds you plant. The harvest is not the issue. The planting is the issue. And the act of planting, that is your daily discipline. When the successful person wakes up, they are planting seeds. They are planting the seed of knowledge by reading the necessary pages. They are planting the seed of health by choosing the right food. They are planting the seed of wealth by saving and investing the small, consistent amounts. These are your seeds, your minor disciplines. The unsuccessful person, they are also planting, but they are planting the weeds of neglect, the seed of distraction, the seed of debt, the seed of apathy. The challenge with this law is the time lag. You do not plant the seed today and reap the harvest tomorrow. Nature requires a season. You have the spring of planting, the summer of cultivation, the fall of harvest, and the winter of reflection. Most people quit in the summer. They quit when the work is demanding, when the weeds need pulling, and when the harvest is still months away, completely invisible to the untrained eye. They perform a minor discipline for 3 weeks, see no massive result, and conclude that the philosophy is flawed, when in reality they simply did not respect the duration of the season. The successful person understands that the only difference between a successful summer and a failed one is the minor discipline of persistence. Pulling one weed today does not feel important, but if you let all the weeds grow, they will choke the whole harvest. That is the devastating cumulative effect of minor neglect. Now, we also must talk about the winds of circumstance. Life will throw storms at you. The economy will shift. A loved one will get sick. Business will slow down. You cannot control the wind. The majority spend their entire lives complaining about the wind. The wind is too strong. The wind is blowing the wrong way. The wind is unfair. And while they are complaining, their ship is pushed further and further off course, lost at sea. The wise person, the designer of their own life, does not complain about the wind. They understand the wind is an immutable external force. Instead, they focus entirely on what they can control, the set of their sail. Your philosophy, your daily disciplines, your continuous personal development, this is the set of your sail. When the storm hits, the untrained person with a poorly set sail is capsized. The disciplined person, whose philosophy is strong, whose sail is set precisely, can use that very same wind, that very same adversity, to propel them closer to their destination. The difference is not the problem. The difference is the preparation. This brings us to the deepest part of the problem, the gap between knowing and doing. I have spent decades speaking to millions of people, and I can tell you this truth. You already know 90% of what you need to do to fix your life. The knowledge is not the high-value item, the execution is. The six-figure skill is not knowing what to do. It is mastering the minor discipline of actually doing what you already know. Why do people fail to execute? Because the minor disciplines require something uncomfortable, personal judgment. When you see the candy bar, you know the minor discipline is to walk past it. When the alarm clock rings, you know the minor discipline is to get out of bed. When you open your wallet, you know the minor discipline is to put 10% aside. The action is simple, but it requires a momentary victory over the weaker side of your own nature, the side that craves ease, comfort, and instant, low-value gratification. This tiny internal battle, repeated dozens of times a day, is the true arena of success. If you let yourself slide, if you let the minor neglect creep in, you are not just skipping an action, you are corrupting your own philosophy. You are sending a signal to your mind that the promises you make to yourself do not need to be kept. And once you break that sacred trust with yourself, once you allow your actions to be inconsistent with your deepest values, then your entire structure of discipline begins to crumble. It is not the $10 spent, it is the discipline lost that is the major error. The successful individual is one who has learned to pay attention to the small things because they know that life does not ask for massive, dramatic, unsustainable sacrifices. It asks for quiet, consistent, daily attention. It asks you to pay the small price of discipline today so you do not have to pay the massive price of regret 5 years from now. Regret is always the accumulated interest on minor neglects. The small price is paid in daily effort. The massive price is paid in a lifetime of sorrow. Which currency are you choosing to trade in today? If you truly look at your life right now, your health, your bank balance, your relationships, all of it is a perfect reflection of your daily minor disciplines and neglects. You are the architect and the tools are in your hands right now. The wind is always blowing for everyone. But tell me honestly, given the storms you know are coming, how well is your sail truly set right now? Now let us move past the philosophy and look directly into the mirror. This is not the time for easy answers or gentle self-talk. This is the moment for a rigorous, unflinching mental audit. If the minor disciplines are the key to a successful life, then your current results are the perfect and honest report card of your commitment to them. You have listened to the principles, you know about the seeds, the seasons, and the set of the sail. The question is no longer, do I know what to do? The question is, am I doing it? And if not, why am I insulting my own potential? We need to confront the primary saboteur of success, and that saboteur is not the economy or the competition. It is the insidious, comfortable trap of following your mood instead of your plan. Most people are not led by their goals, they are led by their feelings. They wake up and their internal dialogue goes something like this. How do I feel today? Do I feel motivated? Do I feel like reading that book? Do I feel like making those difficult calls? And if the answer is anything less than enthusiastic, they surrender. They let their fleeting, temporary mood dictate their permanent, long-term outcome. Let me tell you something. Success is not interested in your feelings. Success only responds to action and consistency. The six-figure skill demands that you separate yourself from the majority who let their emotions run the show. The most important minor discipline you can ever master is the ability to do what you said you would do, long after the mood you said it in has passed. I want you to conduct this audit across the 3 core areas of your life where minor disciplines yield major results and minor neglects create major failure. Audit point one, your financial philosophy. You know you should save. You know you should invest. You know you should track your expenses. Yet, how many times this month have you told yourself, I'll start next month, or it's only a few dollars, it won't matter? That only a few dollars is the minor neglect that compounds into poverty. That one unnecessary purchase, that one unplanned meal out, that small habitual leak in your budget, it is the erosion that guarantees you will stand on shaky ground when the financial winds blow. Be honest, are you letting $5 of weakness today steal $500 of stability from your future self? When you choose impulse over savings, you are literally stealing from your own future family. You are trading the long-term design for a temporary, fleeting comfort. Audit point two, your personal development and knowledge. You understand that if you stop learning, you stop leading. You know that personal growth is the wellspring of all external success. So, where is the 15 minutes of daily study? Where is the journal entry? Where is the quiet time spent reflecting and planning? Is it being replaced by endless scrolling, cheap distraction, or passive entertainment? The person who reads 30 minutes a day will, over 5 years, have read dozens of books. That person's knowledge base, their vocabulary, their perspectives, their ability to lead will become radically different from the person who spent that time staring at a screen. The act of reading one page is a minor discipline. The failure to do so is a major error in philosophy because you are implicitly saying, I am smart enough, I don't need to change. Is your current level of wisdom, skill, and insight truly enough to handle the challenges of your desired future? Or are you banking on yesterday's knowledge to solve tomorrow's problems? Audit point three, your health and energy. You cannot have a six-figure income with a minimum wage body. Health is the physical foundation upon which all other achievements rest. The body does not ask for massive, punishing routines. It asks for consistent, minor disciplines, the right fuel, adequate rest, and deliberate movement. That skipped workout, that easy, processed meal, that late night spent scrolling, these are all minor neglects. They do not kill you today. They do not even hurt you this week. But they systematically dismantle your energy, your clarity, and your longevity. They ensure that by the time you reach your peak earning years, you will be too tired, too sick, or too worn out to enjoy the harvest you worked so hard to sow. You are building a massive financial structure on a crumbling physical foundation. This is a formula for tragedy. The great separation between those who live the life they designed and those who merely endure the life they ended up with comes down to this: the will to engage in a minor discipline when the reward is distant and the mood is low. If you are serious about becoming the architect of your destiny, you must stop being a victim of your own calendar and your own feelings. You must execute the necessary actions, not because you feel like it, but because you committed to a design bigger than your temporary emotion. As we move toward the final block, I want you to sit with the answers to these hard questions. Don't let yourself off the hook quickly. Don't rush to the next video seeking another distraction. I mentioned I will leave a few moments of quiet at the end of this session. That space is coming soon. Use it. Use this time between now and the conclusion to let the truth of your minor neglects sink in, because until you are truly honest about the small things you are doing wrong, you cannot fully appreciate the power of the small things you must start doing right. So I challenge you, what one minor discipline, if you started it today, right now, would immediately prove to yourself that you are committed to your design, regardless of your mood? Let me close our conversation today with the most potent truth I have learned over a lifetime of study and experience, from my early days on the Idaho farm to my time working under the great Earl Showoff. You have the power to change everything, but that power only moves when you do. We have established that the six-figure skill is not complexity, it is consistency. It is the minor discipline of showing up, not when you feel powerful, but when you feel weak. It is the simple courage to honor the promise you made to yourself in the mirror, even if the reward is 5 years away and today feels ordinary. The great tragedy is not failure. The great tragedy is wasted potential, the life that could have been lived. You must stop waiting for the cosmic starting gun. You must stop waiting for massive external validation. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. You are in the main performance right now, and every day you choose comfort over discipline, you are stealing a piece of the powerful legacy you were meant to leave. I was 25, broke, driving around in a beat-up car, making excuses for myself, and I realized that my circumstances were not my tragedy. My philosophy was my tragedy. The moment I chose the minor discipline of reading one page, of saving $1, of staying one extra hour to plan, that was the moment the trajectory changed. It did not change the external world instantly, it changed me. And when you change, everything changes for you. So I demand that you leave here today, not with a feeling of temporary motivation, which is cheap, but with a steel-hard commitment to an unbreakable philosophy. Commit to the minor disciplines. They are the currency of success. They are the seeds of your future fortune. Stop accepting the excuses of the majority. The majority is broke, unhealthy, and filled with regret. Your friends, your family, your culture, they will all encourage you to be average because your discipline makes their comfort zone unstable. You must cultivate the inner strength to separate yourself. You must become a person who does what the majority is unwilling to do. You must stop letting your mood lead your life. Your mood is a shadow. Your plan is the light. When the alarm clock rings, your mind will offer 1,000 reasons to hit snooze. That is your mood speaking. The minor discipline is to override that shadow, to stand up, to take the necessary action, and to prove to yourself one more time that your commitment is greater than your comfort. That is the mastery. That is the six-figure skill. The time for planning is over. The time for intellectualizing is over. The time for action is now. Start your discipline today, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. If you choose to read, read the first sentence. If you choose to save, move the first dollar. If you choose to exercise, take the first step. The first step is the greatest victory. The life you design, the life of abundance, health, and profound contribution, is waiting on the other side of your consistent daily minor disciplines. You are the architect. The tools are in your hand. The building materials, your time, your energy, your focus are ready. Now, build. I have given you the philosophy, I have shared the story, and I have presented the challenge. Before you rush back into the noise of your day, before you allow the world to distract you from the quiet, powerful decision you need to make, take a moment. I have promised to leave a space for quiet and reflection at the very end of this video, and that time is now. You need to disconnect from the frantic demands of the outside world and reconnect with the inner architect of your soul. Use this silence to seal the contract you are making with yourself. Do not seek the answer in more external information. Seek the answer in your own quiet conviction. Close your eyes if you must, take a deep breath, and sit with this final profound question. Knowing the life you are capable of living. Are you willing to insult your own future one more day by neglecting the small disciplines you know, deep down, are the only way to get there?